Today we are going to study theme 2, that is writing and city life. Before this we have actually understood how we started living, how we evolved. Now how the city life, how people started living in a particular area for a long period of time with all sorts of houses, marketplace, agriculture, trading, everything is now discussed in this theme. Now, four early river valley civilizations have been found. One is Mesopotamian civilization, which was between Tigris and Euphrates River. Egyptian civilization, which was near Nile River. Indian civilization, that was near Indus River, that was Indus Valley civilization. And ancient China, which was near Wang He Yellow River. The first historical civilizations is Mesopotamia. You can see the area where it was found. City life began in Mesopotamia, the land between the Euphrates and the Tigris River, that is now part of the Republic of Iraq. The name Mesopotamia is derived from the Greek words meso, meaning middle, and potamus, meaning river. In the beginning of recorded history, the land, mainly the urbanized south, was called Sumer and Akkar. After 2000 BC, when Babylon became an important city, the term Babylonia was used for the southern region. From about 1100 BC, when the Assyrians established their kingdom in the north, the region became known as Assyria. The first known language of the land was Sumerian. This is the timeline. Sumerian kings ruled from 3500 BC to 2300 BC. Then came Akkadians from 2300 BC to 1900 BC. Then Babylonians from 1900 BC to 1300 BC. Then Assyrians from 1300 BC to 612 BC. Writing and city life. Archaeology began in Mesopotamia in the 1840s. At one or two sites, including Urk and Mari, excavations continued for decades. Not only can we study hundreds of Mesopotamian buildings, statues, ornaments, graves, tools, and seals as sources, there are thousands of written documents. Mesopotamia was important to Europeans because of references to it in the Old Testament, the first part of the Bible. Mesopotamia and its geography. Iraq is a land of diverse environments. Northeast is the green tree-covered mountain ranges with clear streams and wild forest flowers with enough rainfall to grow crops. Here agriculture began between 7000 and 6000 BC. The north part of the Mesopotamia is a stretch of upland called steppe, where animal herding offers people a better livelihood than agriculture. In the east of this area, it has tributaries of Tigris, provide routes of communication into the mountains of Iran. The southern part of Mesopotamia, desert land. This is where the first cities and writing emerged. This desert could support cities because the rivers Euphrates and Tigris, which rises in the northern mountains, carry loads of silt. When they flood or when their water is let out on the fields, fertile silt is deposited, and this facilitates a very good agriculture which supports the life at that area. Now this is a simple way to explain you. In the north, it was basically the steppes. Northeastern area lies the green. So this is a simple way to explain you how the things were situated. This is a scene. There are four pictures of the same land. You can see how green it is, and the pastoralists can have a good time to feed their animals. So this is the area. Mesopotamia and its geography. Not only agriculture, Mesopotamian sheep and goats that graze on the steppe, the northeastern plains, and the mountain slopes produce meat, milk, and wool in abundance. Further, fish was available in rivers, and date palms gave fruit in summers. This is the barley and dates which are found in this area. The basic conditions of this area are: there is little rainfall, hot and dry climate prevails there, windstorms leaving muddy river valleys in the winters, catastrophic flooding of the rivers in spring, arid soil containing little minerals, no stone or timber resources are there. The earliest cities in Mesopotamia date back to the Bronze Age, that is 3000 BC. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. Cities and towns are not just places with large population, it is where an economy develops in spheres other than food production, that it becomes an advantage for the people to cluster in towns. Urban economies comprises, besides food production, trade, manufacturers, and services. City people were not self-sufficient. The carvers of stone seal requires bronze tools, colored stones. The bronze tool makers needs metal, charcoal, so they depend on the products or services of other people. The division of labor is a mark of urban life. There must be a social organization in cities. Fuel, metal, various stones, wood, etc. come from many places for cities manufacturers. There are deliveries of grain and other food items from the village to the city. Thus, organized trade and storage is needed. In such a system, some people command and those others obey. Urban economies often requires the keeping of written records. Food resources were abundant in Mesopotamia but lacked stones, wood, metals. So they imported wood, copper, tin, silver, gold, shell, stones from Turkey and Iran. They exported their textiles and food resources. Transport is also important for urban development. The canals and natural channels were routes for goods transport. Euphrates became a world route. This is the Mesopotamian city. This is the actual photograph which has been clicked in when it was being excavated. Now, Mesopotamian culture. Mesopotamian valued city life. After cities were destroyed in war, they recalled it in poetry. The pride of Mesopotamian about their town shows in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Development of writing. A script, we mean that spoken sounds are represented in visible symbols, signs. The first Mesopotamian tablets, written around 3200 BCE, contained picture-like signs and numbers. Cuneiform is derived from the Latin words cunus, meaning wedged, and forma, meaning shape. The word cuneiform means wedged shape letters. Greatest contribution of Mesopotamian to Western civilization was the invention of writing. They allowed the transmission of knowledge, the codifications of laws, records of facilitated trades, farming. Sumerians wrote on wet clay tablets that with the point of a reed, then dried it in the sun to make it a tablet. Scribes were not only one who could write or read and served as priests, record keepers, and accountants. As society evolved, the first form of writing was developed called cuneiform, meaning wedged shape, dating to 3500 BCE. Cuneiform spread to Persia and Egypt and became the vehicle for the growth and spread of civilization and exchange of ideas among cultures. This is how you can see the development from 3000 BCE to 600 BC. Pictographies of Ear of barley means one single barley. So this is how they used to depict head and body of man, fish, bird, bowl of food, stream of river. In different time period, it has been depicted in different forms. The Mesopotamian tablets contain pictures like signs and numbers. Writing began in Mesopotamia in 3200 BCE. Writing began when society needed to keep record of the transactions. Mesopotamian wrote on tablet of clay. Scribes would impress wedge-shaped signs on wet clay with sharp edge end of a reed. This is another way how the pictographic symbols were evolved in the due course of time. Once written tablets were dried hard in the sun and it would be almost indestructible. Once it dried, signs could not be pressed on a tablet. So each transaction requires a separate written tablet. This is why tablets occur by the hundreds at Mesopotamian sites. By 2600 BCE, the letters became cuneiform and language was Sumerian. Why writing was used? What were the reason behind it? To keep records, to make dictionaries, giving legal validity to land transfers, narrating the deeds of kings, announcing the changes a king had made in the customary laws of the land, and storing information and of sending messages. The sound that a cuneiform sign represents was not a single consonant or a vowel but syllables. Thus, the scribes had to learn hundreds of signs. He had to handle a wet tablet and get it written before it dried. So writing was a skilled craft. It conveyed visual form of system of sounds of a particular language. King and very few could read and write. There were hundreds of signs to learn and many of these were complex. If a king could read, that was recorded in his boastful inscriptions. Writing reflected the mode of speaking. It was kingship that organized trade and writing. The Mesopotamian cultural legacy. They developed the first law code in history by Babylonian king Hammurabi. By 5000 BCE, settlements began in Mesopotamia. The earliest cities emerged from some of these settlements. There were three kinds of cities: cities that developed around temples, cities that developed as centers of trade, and imperial cities. Mesopotamian religion and beliefs. They were polytheists, believed in many gods. They believed in life after death. The earliest known temple was a small shrine made of unbaked bricks. The temples were the residence of various gods: moon god of Ur, and for Inna, the goddess of love and war. Temples became larger over time with several rooms around open courtyards. Temples always had their outer walls going in and out at regular intervals. The god was the focus of worship. This is a pic from Inna temple at Ur. This is the other paintings or the wall inscriptions in the Inna temple. Inner temple of Urk from the outer side. This is a excavatory proof or an artifact which was found in the temple of goddess Inna at Nippur. This intimate portrait of a couple was carved from a single piece of gypsum with insect eyes of lapis lazuli shells and bitumen. This is the temple at Ur, moon temple of Ur. The god was the theoretical owner of the agricultural fields and fisheries and the herds of the local community. Productions process such as oil pressing, grain grinding, spinning and weaving of woolen cloth done in the temple. Thus, temple became the main urban institution by organizing production, employing merchants and keeping records of distribution and allotment of grain, plough, animals, bread, beer, fishes, etc. Archaeological records show that villages were periodically relocated in Mesopotamian history because of floods in the river and changes in the course of the rivers. There were man-made problems as well. Those who lived on the upstream stretches of a channel could divert so much water to their fields that villages of downstream were left without water. There was continuous warfare in Mesopotamian villages for land and water. The victorious chiefs distributed the loot among their followers and took prisoners from the defeated groups. They were employed as their guards or servants. The chiefs also offered precious booties to the gods to the beautiful temples. He organized the distribution of temple wealth by keeping records. This gave the king high status and authority. War captives and local people had to work for the temple or for the ruler. Those who were put to work were paid rations. Hundreds of people were put to work at making and baking of the clay cones for temples. In Mesopotamian society, the nuclear family stream was the norm. The father was the head of the family. Now, about the marriage. We know little about the procedures of marriage. A declaration was made about the willingness to marry by the bride's parents. When the wedding took place, gifts were exchanged by both parties who ate together and made offerings in the temple. The bride was given her share of inheritance by her father. The father's house, herds, fields, etc. were inherited by the... Now, the Ur was a town and one of the earliest cities excavated in the 1930s. Narrow, winding streets indicate the wheeled cart could not have reached many of the houses. Stacks of grain and firewood would have reached on donkey back. Town planning and street drains were absent at Ur. Instead of drains, clay pipes were found in the inner courtyards of houses. House roofs sloped inwards and rainwater was channeled via the drain pipes into sumps in the inner courtyards. People have swept their household refuse to the streets. This made street level rise, and over time the thresholds of houses had to be raised so that no mud would flow inside after rains. Light came into the rooms not from windows but from doorways opening into courtyards. There was a superstition about houses as recorded in omen tablets at Ur. A raised threshold brought wealth. A front door that did not open towards another house was lucky. If the main door of a house opened outwards, the wife would be a torment to her husband. The graves of royalty and commoners have been found there. Very few individuals were found buried under the floors of ordinary houses. After 2000 BCE, the royal city of Mari flourished. Mari was located on the upstreams of Euphrates. Agriculture and animal rearing were carried out in this region. Most of the region was used for pasturing sheep and goats. Herders exchanged animals, cheese, leather and meat in return for metal tools, etc. with the farmers. Nomadic groups of the western desert filtered into the prosperous agricultural lands. Such groups would come as herders, harvest laborers or hired soldiers and settled down. These included the Akkadians, Amorites, Assyrians, and Armenians. The kings of Mari were Amorites and raised a temple at Mari for Dagon, god of steep. Mesopotamian society and culture were open to different cultures. Thus, the vitality of the civilization was of coarse and intermixture culture. Mari is a good example of an urban center prospering on trade. This is the city of Mari. You can see it. These are the statues found in Mari and seal of Mari. Remains of Mari. Another artifact rescued from Mari. Wood, copper, wine, tin, oil, etc. were carried in boats along the Euphrates between the south and Turkey, Syria and Lebanon. Boats carrying grinding stones, wood and wine and oil jars would stop at Mari on their way to southern cities. Officers of this town would go abroad, inspect the cargo and leave a charge of about 1/10 the value of the goods. Thus, although the kingdom of Mari was not militarily strong, but it was exceptionally prosperous. Mesopotamians valued city life. Many communities and cultures lived side by side. After cities were destroyed in war, they recalled them in poetry. The Epic of Gilgamesh reminds us the pride of the Mesopotamians who took in their cities. Gilgamesh was the ruler of Uruk and a great hero who subdued people far and wide. He got a shock when his heroic friend died. He then set out to find the secret of immortality. After a heroic attempt, Gilgamesh failed and returned to Uruk. There he consoled himself walking along the city wall back and forth. The legacy of writing. The greatest legacy of Mesopotamian scholarly tradition of time reckoning, mathematics. So what were the time reckoning thing? They invented calendar. The division of the calendar was there were 12 months. Each month had 4 weeks. Each day was divided into 24 hours and each hour was of 60 minutes. The tablets with multiplication and division tables were seen. Square root tables were seen. Tablets of compound interest were also found. That means they knew these mathematical calculations. Solar and lunar eclipse were observed and recorded. There were schools where students read and copied earlier written tablets. The book of Guinness of the Old Testament refers to Shimmer as a land of brick, but city was Sumer. The Mesopotamian tablets refer to copper from Alasia, the island of Cyprus, as a major item of trade contribute to Mari's urban prosperity. The Varka head is a world-famous piece of sculpture made of white marble at Uruk before 3000 BCE. It is the earliest representation of the woman's mouth, chin and cheek. The palace at Mari of King Zimrilin was the residence of the royal family, the hub of administration and a place of production. The palace had only one entrance, open courtyard, beautifully paved, and 260 rooms. The book which I discussed before is Book of Genesis. The great Assyrian king collected a library at his capital possessing tablets on history, epic, omen, literature, astronomy, hymns and poems. Nabonidus was the last Babylonian king who was the world's first archaeologist. Connection between city life and trade and writing is brought out in the Sumerian epic poem about Enmerkar, the first king of. This is a map which is shown in front of you, shows the various places where Mari was situated, where Assyria was located, Damascus, Babylon, this is the Syrian desert, Arabian desert, Black Sea. So in this way you can understand where the places were located and how they were interrelated in trading, and can and flourished up to this level.